It's 6:30 p.m. The office is mostly empty, or your remote Slack status has been set to away for an hour, but you're still there. You're polishing a report that was technically good enough 3 hours ago. You're answering that one last email because you don't want anyone to think you're lagging. On the outside, you are the person everyone relies on. You're the reliable one, the steady hand. Your boss doesn't worry about you because you always deliver. Your friends admire your discipline. You rarely complain. You never make a scene. And you certainly don't ask for help. But on the inside, you feel like a phone battery stuck at 1%. You're physically present, but your internal light is flickering. You're tired in a way that sleep doesn't seem to fix. You feel a strange sense of resentment toward the people who depend on you, followed immediately by a wave of guilt for feeling that resentment. Welcome to the world of the quiet overachiever. The problem with being a quiet overachiever is that your success hides your suffering because you don't look stressed. You aren't having outbursts or missing deadlines. No one checks in on you. You are suffering from invisible burnout. In this video, we're going to peel back the layers of this specific psychological profile. We'll look at why quiet excellence is often a survival mechanism, the neurobiology of the functional freeze state, and how you can stop being a martyr for your own productivity. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in calm water, this is for you. We usually think of burnout as a loud, dramatic collapse. We imagine someone throwing their hands up and walking out. But for the quiet overachiever, burnout is a slow, silent erosion. Why do we do this? Why do we keep over-delivering, even when our bodies are begging us to stop? The performance-based self-esteem trap. In psychology, we call this performance-based self-esteem. For many quiet overachievers, your value as a human being has become inextricably tied to your output. If you aren't achieving, you don't feel safe. This often starts in childhood. Perhaps you were the good kid who didn't need much attention because you got straight A's. You learned early on that being low maintenance and high performance was the best way to keep the peace or earn love. As an adult, this translates into a safety through competence mindset. You think, if I am indispensable, I cannot be rejected. If I am perfect, I cannot be criticized. Your overachievement isn't actually about ambition, it's about anxiety management. You aren't running toward a goal, you're running away from the fear of being found out as inadequate. To understand why you feel so exhausted but can't stop working, we have to look at your nervous system. Most people know about fight or flight, but there is a third state called freeze. Usually, we think of freeze as playing dead, complete immobility. But there is a sophisticated subtype called functional freeze, the polyvagal perspective. According to polyvagal theory, your nervous system has different gears. Ventral vagal, the social engagement state. You feel safe, creative, and connected. Sympathetic, the fight or flight state. High energy, anxiety, and movement. Dorsal vagal, the shutdown state. Numbness, dissociation, and collapse. The quiet overachiever lives in a high-toned dorsal state. You are technically in shutdown. Your emotions are numb. Your energy is low, but you are using a massive amount of sympathetic adrenaline to force your body to keep moving. Imagine driving a car with one foot slammed on the brake and the other slammed on the gas. The car is moving, but the engine is screaming. That engine scream is what we call invisible burnout. The cortisol plateau. Biologically, your adrenal glands are likely stuck in a flat rhythm. Usually, cortisol, your stress hormone, should be high in the morning to wake you up and low at night. But when you are a quiet overachiever, you often experience a cortisol flatline. You're tired but wired all day, and then you can't fall asleep at night because your brain won't shut off. Your brain has become addicted to its own stress hormones to keep functioning. You don't know how to work without the threat of a deadline or the fear of disappointing someone. To heal, we have to identify the specific pillars holding up this unsustainable lifestyle. Do you recognize yourself in these? 1. High sensitivity to social cues. The people pleaser. Overlap. You are hyper-aware of your boss's mood or your partner's stress level. You overachieve to buffer their emotions. If you do more work, maybe they will be less stressed, and therefore, you will feel safer. 2. The competence curse. Because you are good at what you do, you get rewarded with more work. And because you are a quiet overachiever, you say yes. You have become a victim of your own efficiency. 3. Emotional self-silencing. You feel that expressing your needs is being a burden. You pride yourself on being the person who has it all together, so you hide your struggles to maintain that identity. 4. Chronic self-correction. Your internal editor never takes a break. You double-check, triple-check, and rehearse conversations in your head to avoid any possible friction. We cannot fix invisible burnout by taking a vacation. A quiet overachiever on vacation just spends the whole time worrying about the emails piling up. We have to change your operating system. Tool 1. The minimum viable success experiment. Quiet overachievers have lost the ability to distinguish between excellent and unnecessarily perfect. The task: for one low-stakes project this week, aim for B+ work. The goal: notice that the world didn't end. Notice that no one died. You need to prove to your nervous system that average is not fatal. Tool 2. Somatic check-ins. The body scan. In quotes, since you live in a functional freeze state, you are likely disconnected from your neck down. The practice: set an alarm for 3 times a day. When it goes off, ask, is my jaw clenched? Are my shoulders near my ears? Am I holding my breath? Asterisk. The action: exhale slowly, drop your shoulders. This sends a signal to your amygdala that there is no immediate predator, even if there is a deadline. Tool 3. Boundary scripting. For the quiet, you don't need to be aggressive to set boundaries. Use the policy frame. Instead of saying, I'm too stressed to do that, say, I have a personal policy of not taking on new projects on Thursday afternoons, so I can focus on deep work. It's much harder for people to argue with a policy than a feeling. Tool 4. The internal check-in versus external validation. Before you say yes to a request, wait 60 seconds. Ask yourself, am I saying yes because I have the capacity? Or am I saying yes because I'm afraid of what they'll think if I say no? If it's the latter, that's a trauma response, not a career move. It's important to note that if you are neurodivergent, ADHD, autism, your quiet overachieving might actually be masking. You might be working twice as hard just to appear normal or to compensate for executive dysfunction. If this is the case, traditional burnout advice might make you feel worse. You don't need to work less. You need to work differently, with accommodations that respect how your brain is wired. Additionally, if you find that you physically cannot stop working, if the thought of doing less triggers a full-blown panic attack, this is no longer just a work habit. It may be a deep-seated attachment wound. I highly recommend working with a therapist who understands performance-based identity to help you decouple your worth from your work. I want to say something that might feel uncomfortable. You are allowed to be unremarkable today. You have spent so long being the hero, the rock, and the overachiever that you've forgotten how to just be a human being. A human being is allowed to be tired. A human being is allowed to make mistakes. A human being is allowed to say, I can't do this right now. The people who truly value you, the ones who actually matter, do not love you because of your spreadsheets or your 24/7 availability. They love you for your perspective, your humor, and your presence. When you are burnt out, you are robbing them and yourself of the best parts of you. Your quietness is a strength, but don't let it become your cage. You don't have to wait for a total collapse to give yourself permission to rest. Let's summarize the shift we're making: from safety through competence to safety through self-compassion, from functional freeze to active presence, from invisible burnout to visible boundaries. If you recognize yourself in this description, I've created a quiet overachiever recovery plan placeholder, which includes somatic exercises and boundary scripts designed specifically for people who hate making a scene. You might also want to check out our video on why you sabotage your success and what it says about your fear of visibility, as these two topics often go hand in hand. Stop being the most reliable person in the room at the expense of being the most miserable person in the room. You've done enough. You are enough. I'll see you in the next one.